Today, I'm going to be reacting to Stranger Things 5 fan theories. Your fan theories and fan theories across the internet that have been posted over the past 6 months to a year, because in my mind, that's like, you know, the diehard fans giving their takes on the show. So I'm more interested in those theories rather than like Eddie Munson's gonna be Cass, you know? So we're gonna dive into all these theories. I'm gonna give you my opinions and tell you whether or not I think it could happen or will happen, or if I think it just flat out will not happen and there's no chance of it. Before I get into the video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Let's go for 200 likes on this video. And make sure to join my Discord down below, where we have almost 1,200 members and we talk about Stranger Things every single day. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Okay, the first theory I'm gonna talk about is one that I haven't seen on the internet or talked about myself or have even thought about myself. And it comes from Owen on one of my tweets. He says a very interesting one that I think could potentially come true is that Hopper was experimented on in Russia and may actually have powers in season 5. This makes sense because if you put yourself in the Russian spot, you take this unknown man and you'd experiment to see if he is a part of what you found from the Upside Down. So I think they took him and didn't know if he was connected, took particles or DNA from the Demogorgons and put them into Hopper. This may sound crazy, it does, but if you think about it and really look at it from the Russians' point of view, I think it's definitely possible. I think he has something in him, but he doesn't want anybody to know about it because he doesn't want to scare anyone. That is insane. So Hopper having powers in season 5 because the Russians experimented on him with DNA particles from the Demogorgon. I don't think this is true. Obviously, it's most likely not true regardless, but I don't think it could be true because of this fact right here. If Hopper did indeed have powers, he wouldn't know about it. He doesn't know he has powers, because if he did, he would have used those powers when he was fighting with a sword and a stick that was on fire against the Demogorgon. He would have just killed the Demogorgon with his powers if he had powers, in my opinion. Unless he didn't want to scare anyone or didn't want to let them know that he does have powers, because then they would for sure kill him. I don't know, maybe he was trying to hide them, and even that makes it even more far-fetched than what we're already talking about, so that's like all over the place. But wow, it is a very interesting and intriguing theory, I will give you that, and I would love for it to happen. Obviously, you know me, I'm a fan of chaos, powers, this, that, and if 11 was in trouble and Will was using his powers and he was in trouble and Callie was using her powers and she was in trouble, and then Hopper comes in with powers, I would be posting 1,000 videos about that on Instagram and TikTok, just spamming it all over the place, because I haven't made that theory. But my goodness, I might make a video out of that just because of how intriguing it is. Like, yeah, it's not possible, most likely, but there's at least a 0.01% chance, right? Because he does have a point. This random guy from whatever that knows what this thing is, why not experiment on him? Because, you know, he's gonna die anyways. Maybe they used them as a science experiment. It is possible in the slightest of sense. It's not likely, of course, but that is a really good theory, and I don't think it'll happen, obviously, but I really do like it. Good job, Owen. Callum says, one of them could go undercover in the military to help the other stay under the radar and avoid being detected by those in the government who want to harm 11. I really do like this idea and concept. I was thinking about this for like 5 minutes, thinking about who could be the one to go undercover in the military and like actually fit in and not be so obvious. I would feel like it couldn't be Steve, because Steve seems to be pretty popular in town, and like I feel like the military would know about him. Maybe someone like Murray, because he's so good at impersonating and everything, and maybe he could just go in there and, you know, disguise everyone. Definitely not Dr. Owens. I thought about that, but I was like, no, that's not possible. But I do like the idea in general of someone going in the military and just guiding the military away from where they are hiding out and where they are planning stuff. Like if they want to go to the radio station and set up base there, keep L there, then maybe the guy in the military, the girl in the military undercover, guides them on the other across the town in Hawkins, so they're not near 11. I do like this idea, and I do think it's definitely possible. A theory from Anonymous on my YouTube community post said that a theory I believe is that the Upside Down is a manifestation of Will's mind. We know that when Vecna was banished, the Upside Down looked totally different and unrecognizable. I believe when Will got kidnapped into the Upside Down, his memories were used to create the Upside Down we now know. So I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure this theory stems from the fact that Will have powers, and one of the possibilities of his powers, like what his powers are, is that he created the Upside Down. So once he figures out what his powers are and that he actually possesses them, if he did indeed create the Upside Down and that's what his powers are, then that would technically mean that he can create the Upside Down into whatever he wants and use it against Vecna. Vecna thinks he's in control of the Upside Down. Maybe it's Will, and Will can manipulate it and defeat Vecna that way once he figures it out. I personally do not think this is true, and I don't think if Will does have powers, I don't think this is what the powers are going to be. And I don't necessarily know if they're going to be him, with psionic abilities like 11. It could be him controlling the dragon. It could be something totally different. Could be some other term from D&D that I don't know because I never played D&D. But I don't think his powers are going to be him controlling the Upside Down. I think the Upside Down is the Upside Down. I don't think it was technically a manifestation of Will's mind, but it is a cool and interesting theory. Eli says, my theory is that Will Byers will go through the same process 11 went through in season 4, going through his old memories in the Upside Down, because in the behind the scenes of season 5, we saw the Upside Down Castle Byers and Will in his season 1 outfit falling down from something. I do think this is an interesting observation because there were rumors back in like May of 2024, April of 2024, when all the hype was going on the Leagues on set, that Lonnie Byers' actor was actually on set. Now, this could have just been him reuniting with some old friends. This could have just been a false rumor, or him helping the writer's room. Who knows what it was? But if Lonnie is indeed in season 5, I think something like this will happen for sure. Because why else would Lonnie be there? If Will's gonna go through old memories, Lonnie's going to be there, most likely physically or mentally abusing him in his past memories, causing all this trauma that Will has, making him feel insecure about his sexuality and stuff. Like, I feel like that could definitely be a possibility in season 5 if he went through all of his bad memories, that Lonnie is there and he's going through all this stuff. And maybe when he goes through that, it'll be like a therapy session, like it sort of was for 11, but that was way more traumatizing than a therapy session. But like getting all that out of him, all those memories, like remembering all that, maybe it uncovers the powers that he really has. Maybe it stops suppressing all the stuff that he's holding in and reveals some stuff about him that we don't even know yet, which could be powers. So I do like this theory, and I do think this has like a more than a 30% chance of happening. Wazoo has an interesting one that I do not like based off the first word of the comment, but he says, time travel, exclamation point. Will is unknowingly a time traveler and has part of Henry's soul still inside of him due to soul transference. Whatever that means. Unlike Henry, Will is going to have the love of his family and friends, which will give him the power to not give into temptation and be a big part in defeating the monster in the very end. 11 will travel back in time to stop an event from happening in order to restore the timeline, but will not be able to return, which will lead to her sad and emotional, heroic ending. I don't like this at all, honestly. I don't like this at all, and I hope it's not possible because I don't want to see time travel at all in season 5. I've talked about this before in a previous video, but I feel like time travel is way too confusing for a show like this to pick it up in the last season and try to explain it to everyone and try to make it make sense, because time travel in general doesn't make sense in the real world. So explaining it and trying to make it make sense in a TV show in the final season, I just don't like the idea of. I would understand if they brought it in the beginning of the show and had their version of time travel set in stone back then and implemented it now, but first introducing time travel in the final season just seems too risky for me, and I don't think it's gonna happen. But, obviously you're pretty creative with your theories, because soul transference and all that stuff, I don't know about all that. But 11 going back in time and then not being able to return, I hate that so much. I'd rather just see her die in like a fight or something, personally. Now we're moving over to Reddit to find these theories and go through them, which are pretty interesting because usually on Reddit they're longer and more in depth. This one says Max is going to be brain dead in season 5. Though in season 2, Dustin had said that the way to defeat the Mind Flayer, as per the Dungeons and Dragons manual, was to summon an undead mindless army. The logic is that if you didn't have a mind to control, the Mind Flayer couldn't attack you. What Dustin said is 100% 100% a foreshadowing and will tie in for season 5. Max being brain dead will make her some sort of vessel to defeating Vecna / the Mind Flayer. There have been a ton of theories about Max contributing to defeating Vecna in season 5 via her mind being connected to the Mind Flayer and her still being alive and 11 saving her life and everything. And I think that is possible. Her being a vessel to destroy the Mind Flayer, like this mindless army thing with the Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not a D&D like nerd. I don't know anything about D&D, but I do like the idea, like from a baseline, just Max helping Vecna in some sort of way and not just being totally useless because she's in a coma. I do like that concept, and I do think something like this is possible. I don't know if exactly that is going to happen, but I think something along the lines of Max being a part of Vecna's army, but, you know, in a way where she can manipulate and control him in a way because she's actually alive. I don't know, something along those lines I think would be really cool, but who knows what actually happens. Okay, this theory says Will technically has powers, in parentheses, kind of. I'm rewatching Stranger Things for the millionth time. I'm on season 2 and I was thinking there's all these theories that Will has powers in season 5, but technically he kinda already has them. Not only is he connected and can sense things upside down related, spider sense, but if he's shifting between realities without portals, that's pretty damn powerful. Like, we see him interacting and things affecting him when he's in the upside down, so he's physically there, meaning his power is shifting reality. That's actually a good point. Like, technically he does have powers, but he's never been able to control them. So maybe the theories about him having powers is still true because those powers that he already has will just be revealed in season 5, so all the theories predicting he's gonna have powers will become true regardless. But yes, what this person is saying is technically true. Like, he has been in the upside down in the real world in the same time within like a 5-second period, like just going in and out, in and out, in and out, shifting realities and everything. But he wasn't controlling that. He wasn't in control of doing that. Maybe in season 5, that's where he gains control. Okay, here's a long theory about Karen. Obviously, I'm open to discussing and debunking, but I've just been sitting here thinking about Karen Wheeler's character. For years, I pushed back on the idea that she was connected beyond just being a concerned mom. I'm kind of in the same boat, by the way. Yes, she's featured more, but as people always point out, it might just be contractual between Netflix, SAG, Kara, and her agents, of course. But after my recent rewatch and the play, aka everything related to Brenner's testing, I can't help but think that Karen is an imperative piece of the story that the Duffers will use in Stranger Things season 5. I pushed back on this for many reasons, but mainly because it feels too late to flesh out that storyline. But the more I focus on Karen's lines / behavior, the more it makes sense that she knows something. In season 1 and 2, there are multiple moments where Karen assures her kids, "You know you can talk to me, right?" Which obviously is something every mom says, but why the creative choice to make the audience know this about Karen? To me, especially coupled with her response to Mike and Nancy getting in trouble one way or another, points to a possible opportunities for the creators to connect Karen to everything, particularly, in my opinion, to Brenner. Karen, in hindsight, unlike Mrs. Henderson or Mrs. Sinclair, who are often depicted as overly concerned or frustrated, just seems to be suspicious. Perhaps that something from her past explains the current events. I hate reading too far into things in media because sometimes we need to just take lines at face value, but it feels clear that Mike is essential to defeating Vecna based on his D&D role / connection to Will and the rest of the party, Nancy as well, and now Holly? So why not Mrs. Wheeler? Marry the most boring man you can think of, hunker down in the suburbs. It could be a great plot twist. I agree. So this person's like on my level as far as what I think about Karen. I think everyone who's made theories about Karen being Vecna's sister and being related to the lab and this and the other, I don't like any of the theories. But what this person is saying when they pay attention to the lines, bring up the fact that she married some boring man in the suburbs, and she's always been like more focused rather than the other parents for some reason, and it could just be, you know, like she said with Netflix and the contract and everything. But there is definitely a possibility that her saying those lines, her being on screen more, her family, all of her family being involved in the upside down or in the storyline besides Ted, who's the boring husband that she married, that could be a sign that she also knows something and has experienced stuff like this. And that's why she says stuff like, "You know you can talk to me, right?" And maybe in season 5, she's gonna finally be like, "Okay, I'm tired of whatever, and I'm gonna, you know, she's gonna say what she knows, and then I think she's gonna die. But that's besides the point. Karen having a bigger role, I do think is a possibility. I would love to see it happen, because like this person says, it would be a phenomenal plot twist, and I would love to see it happen. Okay, this theory on Reddit I just found is really long, so I'm not gonna read it all, even though the one I just read was really long as well. But they were talking about how, what if the person who is looking for 11 isn't the military or the government? Like, he's involved with it, but he's not Sullivan or anybody we've seen yet, and it's actually 11's real father, who's Andrew Rich, supposedly. But the thing is, according to StrangerThingsFandom.com, which I already knew this, that's how I looked it up, Andrew died in Vietnam, supposedly. But this person's saying, I don't know if this person knows that, but assuming they know that, because they read out this long theory, what if Andrew didn't actually die, and instead he's like super high up in the government, and this whole operation is to find his daughter? I don't think I would like that at all, but I just thought I'd bring it up, because I mean, even though I wouldn't like it, it would be a wild plot twist that he is actually the big guy in the government who's looking for 11, and that's why the missing poster was going on, and this, that, and the other, because he knows that's his daughter. I think he died in Vietnam, like the website says. I don't think he's gonna be mentioned in season 5, but they said that because of one of the actors who was casted could play Andrew, technically, because of the age of the actor, and etc., etc. I don't really know. We'll see. But I thought that theory was interesting as well. Obviously, there are a lot of other theories that I could have talked about, but I kind of wanted to talk about ones that weren't as popular. Like, of course, Callie theories. I've already made like 1,000 theories on my channel about that. Eddie returning, you know, etc., etc. Billy returning, I've made theories on that as well. That's a little bit more controversial, but those are the theories I reacted to today. Let me know what you think about them in the comments. Let me know if you have any other theories you want me to look at in the comments. Type them down below. And yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.